Good evening, everyone. My name is Marty Nelson, and I appreciate you taking the time and giving me your attention this evening. So I hope that you've noticed recently that there's a beautiful awakening happening in the software industry. We're no longer happy with just satisfactory or acceptable software. We really want to express our passion, right? We want to create wonderful, delightful things. But the question still remains, how do we hit the delight's bullseye? And what I want to talk to you about tonight and show you is a technique that we can use to reorder software development to do just that. But first, we need to look at software and really look at the parts that provide delight. See, the primary driver of delight is where the outputs meet the outcomes, what I like to call the artifacts of outcome. It's not really about what the system does or how we use it. It's really about the result, what happens afterwards. Let me give you an example. Most of you here had to register for this event. Now, I seriously doubt any of you got ecstatic saying, "Oh my God, I get to fill out an HTML form." Right? What you wanted was to know that you had your ticket to food and beer and fascinating tech talks. This registration confirmation is the artifact of outcome. SAO had their artifacts of outcome too, right? They had to tell McMinimans how much beer to order based on the counts. They were perhaps interested in new companies who might want to join SAO. So the problem is that we've been having a self-centered conversation with our customers and users. It's about what can you do to help us build our system? And we need to shift that conversation to what do you need to feel really good about the outcomes? So this is our playground for finding delight. This is where we're going to understand context, meaning, and what's important to them. And this is where we're going to have innovative, creative ideas to create wonderful software. Now, let me be honest with you. This is hard work, okay? This is not about taking requirements. This is about finding the intersection of empathy, creativity, and technical know-how. Okay, so now that we know a little more about finding and creating delight, let me rub the lamp. We'll let the genie out. And I want to show you how you can exploit this to create delightful software. So for those of us in software, our view of what software is typically has been our code, our tests, continuous integration, and deployment, analogous to other engineering disciplines, what our brains are used to, building things up. But think about software when it's actually running, when it's really going to be delighting people. It's really a bunch of zooming electrons on our hardware. We let it out to run on our various devices. We feed it electricity. We pay it attention and play with it. But fundamentally, it's non-corporeal. It doesn't have mass. And that means it doesn't need structure. And we, in software then, are the wizards of creation. We can create delightful outcomes without a functional system. So I'm going to walk you through these steps, and you'll see some tooling that I've created as an example of one way to facilitate this process. First of all, work with your customers and users to create real representative examples. The idea is that you're going to create these outcomes, and they'll be like, wow, yeah, if I had a system that produced these outcomes, things are good. Step number 2, we're going to pin those artifacts, and they become tested standards. We can now safely extract the data. Give us a second here on the slide. There we go. And make these data-driven. The eventual goal here is these will be run off of live data from the system. Now that we have the inputs into delight, we really also know the outputs that the system needs to provide. And this puts us back in familiar territory where we have objective technical artifacts that we can use to develop the system. And we've aligned our interests to minimize the system with our users' desire to do the least amount of work. We want to make it easy to get to delight. As the wizards of yore said, infinite value with zero mechanism. That's what we need to strive for. All right, some of you may recognize this pattern. The practices are different, but the principles and structures are the same. With TDD, we test code with code, but at a feature level, we test features with features. All right, massless software development. Create delight first, pin it, extract the inputs, those are your system outputs, and use those to test drive the simplest possible system. So no idea would be complete without a plan to take over the world. So remember, delight is scarce, and what is scarce is valuable. Delight makes the competition irrelevant. And if we're going to have a delightful software revolution, I can't think of a place where the people are more caring, more creative, and more technically skilled than those in Portland. So go out, create wonderful, delightful software, and take over the world. Thank you.